Good afternoon, everybody. Not to see how are the kids. You are from Ofuge, that is. Okay, so I'm going to just have to move on. And then, we're expecting people, so wherever they meet us, they take it on from there. Mrs. Lovett, good to see you again. How is the birthday girl? How can you took her somewhere? Are you raising water? Alright, well done. So, drug and substance use is today's topic. But before I get into that, I said something in our group. Are you on WhatsApp? Not yet, okay. I said something in our group that I want to start this conversation with before I get into the neighborhood parenting. There was something we noticed recently, one of the neighborhoods in town, that is kind of strategic to people who are capable of molesting children, people who are capable of doing harm to kids, a kind of strategy that they're using. Personally, growing up, I encountered something like that. And self-esteem was part of the things that helped me. So this is what I'm talking about. A grown-up in the area who has evil intention starts by befriending children, younger people in the area, and they come in like advice, like they want to be advising the child. So the child goes to school in the morning. How are you? You dey go now, okay, go well, and don't shop, don't come back. Oh, I'll ask you today. Befriending the child in an awkward manner. Then, apart from the regular pleasantries of you don't come, how are you, welcome, there is the not follow boys, so yeah, no dey follow boys for girls. And so be a good girl, they listen to your mama, they listen to, they'll be giving some kind of advice that, like the one that happened that we saw. These children were, one just finished primary school, the other one is still in primary school. And this so-called advisor was telling the children, say, we, they were coming to shake my ash. I don't understand what that has to do with, even if you are giving children advice, what is the meaning of that nonsense talk? That's the content of the advice you are giving to the child. So back to the point, what they are trying to do, what most of them want to do, like the one that happens to me, this guy lives in our area, then, and what he does is that pleasantries like that have been written. Then, because of the fact that I have not opened the acquaintance access to him as a child, right? This bros for the area in the past, they greet you. If you come back, they'll greet you like that. The beginning, I don't want to give her one kind of yardstick. So he said to me, when your mommy sent message, if you pass me branch. So I said, okay. So I was in the house, and my mom loves Coke. My mom, if you know my mom, you know that she had Coca-Cola 5 and 6. So she sent me to get her Coke, and I left for Coke. As I was leaving, I remember that my so-called friend asked me to stop by when I was sent a message. So I stopped and said, my mommy sent me to buy, and I never even go buy Coke. So my mommy sent me to message. So he said, Cops, right? Okay, I said, so as he was talking, he just kept his hand on me like this. The messages that touch sent to the emotions, I have never felt, of course, I'm a child. I was a child. I noticed it disrupting every part of me. And I stood and said, I'll tell my mom. I left around. I got the Coke, I went back and told my mom, I said, see what this person just did. My mom, if you know how to read, she's a tigress. I said, it increased. We marched out. As we came out like this, looked for him and didn't see him again. So he said, don't worry. But how did it start? It started from acquaintance, trying to make friends with children that is not business making friends. Very jobless people in the area. Now, I'm saying this to say that holidays are here, you're going to be leaving your kids at home sometimes. because you have to go for the day's job. These are some of the strategies that we use. If I was not that confident and strong, only God knows what He has in mind. And sometimes He may not even use that very day to do what He wants to do, but He would have sent the message to my body and my system will not be okay. Are you getting my point? So that's something I said I was going to just use as an introduction to today's conversation. I hope somebody learned something. So you have to speak to your kids. Anybody that is not your mate giving you advice, tell them that my mommy is telling me, thank you, sir. My mommy, they tell us, thank you. None need more. The same way they tell us, so my mommy, they tell us. You tell your children that, to give them that reply, because evil thrive in darkness. Once that senior person can successfully make a secret friend out of your child, then anything can happen from there. I hope you get my point. Okay, so let's get into today's conversation. Drug and substance addiction. What is drug abuse? Drug in itself is not bad. We use drug for treatments of ailments. We use drug for corrective measures. We use drug for several things that are good. But the abuse of drug is when it's, of course, taken out of proportion, taken an overdose of it because you are looking for something. That is when it is wrong. And the day that we are in today, there is a lot that people take. There are a lot of things that people combine to get them to a certain level of personality that they are not by themselves. So that's some of the reasons why people get involved in drug. But the particular reason why we are here today is how this drug is beginning to creep into the childhood of the children who are raising. There is a lot that is going on. I was talking to a parent over the phone the other day, and he was telling me about the strategy they use now to, if maybe they see a child passing, like a boy, mostly the boy children passing, and then you see the one that is smoking, say, come, take this to make your eye for shine, not be mad. They begin to introduce these children in a more subtle way into this thing. And we know that it's just once that a person needs to test that thing, and he can be hooked on it for the rest of their lives. So that's why we're here today. And I'm going to show you several things that, as we go on in the conversation. So the first thing I want to talk on today is exposure. Exposure. When a child sees someone taking drugs or using substance, if that child has no previous knowledge about that thing, it begins to bring a kind of confusion into the child's mind. The reason is because probably the only place they have seen smoke is your kitchen, or the only place they have seen powder is your shelf. And now they see somebody that is sniffing a powdery substance and they don't know what that is. And they see that the person seems to be enjoying it. And then maybe they see the person smoking, puffing smoke into the air. And, because there's a lot. You can be going out with your children, and because these things are rampant in our communities, in our neighborhood, they can be seeing it already. And these questions might already be forming in their head. And most of us parents, we already feel like they are not matured enough to have this conversation with them. But they are already having these conversations with themselves, thinking and confused, like, why this person is doing this? Why is this person smoking this? Why is this person sniffing this powdery substance? So they may already have, because they don't have proud conversation with us, they don't know what these things are. And so they are already confused with themselves to say, what is this person they do like this? So the exposure is one of the ways that our children have seen these things. Sometimes live on ground, sometimes in the media, in movies and all that. So they see these things, there's no conversation. They see these things, there is no answer. I said something on my status this afternoon that it is very dangerous to leave unanswered questions in the mind of a growing child, especially in this generation that we are in. Too many people are talking. So there's too many answers, dangerous answers out there that we don't want our children to get to because of the questions they already have. And you know, because of the inquisitive nature of children, that question will begin to push them to sort of dabble into it, sort of executing by themselves. So exposure is the first thing. And depending on how they saw that thing, depending on how they saw the person using it, the person like the ones that is very common online, you will see friends together gather, looking all put together. They don't look crazy. They are smoking this thing and then they are like very excited, like they are having fun and all that. And a child sees that thing, and something is bettered in their heart, like whatever this is must be very good because it's making these people very excited. And no conversation, so they have it inside. And so it moves to the next stage, which is meditation. So from exposure in that child's head, it moves to meditation. They begin to think within themselves, why is that thing happening? It may not be a continuous thing. They may just see it once, it flashes as come. Like I told my children that your eye is the doorway to your spirit. What your eyes have seen has been printed inside your spirit. And if there is no foundational information about that particular thing to say, hey, this is not really it, this is what it's supposed to be, then that one just takes form in there. And every other exposure to that particular thing begins to strengthen this one that they are seeing. So the meditation continues. The person begins to just think, that child begins to just think of it, to say, what is this? What is this? What is this? And it goes on like that. And then it moves from the meditation to the lies. To the lies. Who is telling these children these lies? And now maybe peers. So there is the, like, I'm going to share a story as I move on with this conversation. But then, like I said, it's dangerous to leave questions in the mind of the children because there is a lot of answer out there. Now, some of the lies, some of the answers that the world seems to provide about drug is that it will make you feel, it will make you be a big girl or a big boy. So it will make you fearless. That's one of the lies about drug. So they say to you, if you take this thing, you're going to be fearless. There will be nobody you cannot talk to. There will be, you begin to pump your esteem, that this thing is going to give you that kind of self-esteem that will make everybody bow to you, your teacher, your parents, your mom, everybody will do as you say if you take this thing. That's one of the lies. The next one is that, this one is very funny. It will help you study better, to give you retentive memory. That is one of the lies that it's told to the growing child. Drugs will help you with retentive memory. When you study after taking drugs, you understand, inspiration will come. So that's another lie. Then there is the other one that says, it will help you come out of situation faster. So if you have done something and everybody is talking to you about it, everybody is scolding you, everybody is saying, we shouldn't have done that and all this kind of thing. If you take drugs, it will not make you forget about everything. You will be able to have peace. You'll be able to excuse yourself from all the many talk that is going on. And the reason why children are vulnerable to this is because it's an experience that they are having. And this seems to be the solution somebody is providing. A child wants to have retentive memory, right? To study better. Now somebody is giving them that solution. What do you think? They would want to try it. Now, we know that children receive scolding a lot. Why didn't you do this well? You should have done this. And because of the mistakes they make, because they are growing. Now, they can relate to this solution that the same mistakes we provide. Do you understand? Do you see why the lies can really gain ground? Yes. And then the another one that says, it will make people respect you. Because it is not small person that takes it. So if you can start taking this thing, people will respect you. People will give you names. People will hail you for it. Do you understand? And children look forward, especially the male gender. because of the expectation of society on the main gender. You should be confident you're supposed to be a man, you're supposed to be this. Now, they are providing the solution to say, if you can take this, it boosts your confidence, it makes you that person they are expecting you to be. Do you see now? Then they would want to try it. But you know that it's a lie. Because we're talking about the lies. Right? So everyone around is telling this lie. The environment is telling the lies, the peers are telling the lies, the media is telling the lie. So you watch movies, then they have this conversation because you know the media is a very strong tool in parenting the next generation. I wish that we will use it very intentionally. Of course, they're using it intentionally, just not for the good reasons. So they watch a movie, they see a child or a person that was the story is being told that this person has been very timid. Oh, people bully him around. People could do everything to him and go away with it. Once they begin start to take drugs, they come begin to get confidence, come begin to talk to people, come begin to they portray all those kind of things. And then the child watches it and feels like, They become vulnerable, waiting to explode. So we move from the lies to the pressuring. Now, they've told the person that, oh, come and use drugs, you will have sense more. Come and use drugs, you can study better. Come and use drugs, you'll be able to. All the campaigning has been going on, the lies of the campaign. Now, the pressure comes in. More people are using it. This person uses it, this person uses it. Then they begin to mention it, or they begin to see maybe people in the society that they feel like should be the boss or the cis in the society. Sometimes even their parents are using these drugs. Sometimes even the people that they see as the senior in town that they should look up to, they see them with these things. So the child is left with almost no option. Especially when they are in that kind of environment, they're left with almost no option than to say, it seems like this is the only way to go. This person uses it, this person uses it. And sometimes, you see, there's one in my area that is it looks very responsible. He drives a car, he has a family, but he smokes like hell. So a child growing up in that environment sees this person looks established or uses drugs. So there's an example that the child is looking up to. This person, they drive with a sense of saying their family for the area, but they smoke. They use drugs. We see that he has that kind of lifestyle. So the child is confused if there is no conversation from home to say, hey, this is our push we'll get to as we move on. But then the pressure is from the child. There is all these things that they are thinking. And the lies that maybe peers are already telling them. Because there is the case that I stumbled upon. A 12-year-old that started doing drugs from when he was 6. Sometimes when you hear this story, they look like a lie. But it's not like the child has not consistently taken it till 12. But the first exposure, like I tell some parents that your children may already be doing drugs. But not first hand. They may not have started the actual drugs. But their spirits are sold out on the campaign already. Do you understand? They are sold out on the campaign, just waiting to have one person introduce them, and then they will just go. Do you understand? So the media is talking, they're seeing in the streets, they're seeing everybody doing it. So their soul is already vulnerable, barbecued, waiting to be eaten. So that's why it's not, because we stay for this kind of place, because they might begin to small. All these things, no. It's not, that's not where it is. The conversation must happen already. Because prevention is better than cure, because sometimes there is even no cure. And you not seeing them in the streets, mad and insane already. Sometimes they just go from there. A child, a person that should have been something, that should have come back home with a name, that should have branded their family prominent, is already roaming the streets insane because of such exposure. Do you understand? So it's too risky to keep quiet. So the pressure is going on. And let's now move forward to what I call some risk factors that makes children susceptible to using drugs. Let me break that down. Some things that prepare children to use drugs, some things that make them easy to fall for all this scheme that I just said. One of them is parental negligence. So you walk around, like I've said a little bit of this already, you walk around town, see people doing these things, see people do all, maybe you live in an environment that is densely populated with this kind of lifestyle. You don't have to move from here to here before you see it. Sometimes a child that they grow up with, there's one living in that our area there. It was just a boy. Oh my God. It was just a boy in the area before that you can see that, oh, this kid there in the area they grow. Because that's turning into 12, 13 is a very challenging stage for a child that doesn't have somebody that talks to them. A child that does not have a foundation from when they make decisions. That's why we have things like, as you go to college, step up, to give the children enough information to make decisions. Because decisions is all they begin to now make from that 12, 13. Decisions to follow the bad or good friends. Decisions to remain with the value that they have been raised with. Decision to keep God as the center of their life. They decide. Decision. So from that 12, 13 is when the boy, I think, was introduced to this thing. If you see him now in the area, this is how he was. The eye, you know the way they look like. The eye is gone. The lips are terribly black. You can tell that this one, something has happened to him. So parental negligence, when you see that kind of thing in the area already, don't go home and have conversation. Go on, especially when you are raising children in that particular place. You go home and have conversation with your children to say, I don't want to get ahead of myself. But then, parental negligence is one of the very serious reasons why children can become very easily swayed into this drug lifestyle. Nobody's talking to them from home. They don't understand what they are saying. Like what I started this conversation with. If the children sees this thing, they begin to meditate upon it. They are thinking, what is going on? What is this one? They are already thinking about it. But nobody is talking to them. Nobody is giving them information. So, parental negligence. The other one is unrestrained access to the media. Unrestrained access to the media. Some people give their children gadgets and load it, subscribe it with internet and everything. And these children don't even know their way around online. There are games now that children play and they are introduced to this thing. One of those games is first person shooter. How many of you heard of that game? Unrestrained access to the media. You're welcome. Unrestrained access to the media. So, there is one of these games, first person shooter. Have you seen that game before? The children, they know it. And this particular game, you don't play it yourself. You play it with other people from other countries. You know, the internet makes the world very flat, right? So you play it with other people from other countries. So you choose a personality, they choose a personality and all that. Then there's another one called Battle Royale. That's another game. When you give them the phone, in that game they play, so you don't pay attention. You don't look at what they are doing. So this game, because people doing these things are very intentional, there is something the Bible refers to as the God of this world. And that's the devil himself. He has set up systems. And those systems are not to promote the gospel. Those systems are not to promote the kingdom. Those systems are not to promote Jesus. It's to promote his vices. Do you understand? So you would be naive to think that everything going on in this world is God that created it. No. So that game, there's a way you play the game. That's Battle Royale. That's maybe you be different shooting, like it's a war. So people are shooting because they have different personalities, and then everybody's shooting, blah 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 like that. Normal war. And sometimes when you are out of life, so there is life and lifetime. in the game. So when you are out of life like this, the person is falling to the ground, you have two options to get back to the game. The first option is friends. So people that are in the same side with you, like they play it, will come and give you rescue. So they'll give you medical aid and then you can get back to the game. Then the other one, which is what they are using to introduce this drug to these children, is you can inject yourself. So somebody that is almost out of life has an option to put a syringe to their own listener and then check it, and back to life and is ready to play the game again. What does that say? And we know that syringe is part of how drug is introduced into the system. So the child now is giving that kind of information to say, this thing revives. This thing is good. This thing is not really as bad as your people or anybody is painting it for you. This game now is how they are using to tell our children that, hey, you can really do this. It can help you get back to form. And we know that it's actually destructive, right? So unrestrained access to the media is another way that the children can become vulnerable and easily lured into drugs. The other one is negative behavior that we indulged. Negative behavior that we are indulging as parents. There is a way your child is behaving, and because you feel like, oh, he's still a child, you permit some kind of character. The boy or the girl is becoming unnecessarily violent. You know that this is not right. You are overlooking it. Sometimes it's because maybe you are outside and then you don't want people to look at you as, oh, this kind of parent, and then you allow that kind of thing. But then sometimes I allow, but it doesn't slip off. When we get home, we will address it. Come, what was that nonsense? Why did you answer that person like that? Why were you violent? Why did you talk about it? You let the child know that it is a no-no, it is a proof of this kind of attitude. Because not just drugs, cultism, look for those kind of people with that kind of characteristics. And then without you knowing, you are garnishing your child, preparing him to be able to join those kind of lifestyle. And then some parents are so ignorant, they call it, my pikin get mind, get confident, they're not feeling this kind of, they're not feeling the oppressor. But hello, do you also know that the flip side of that character is him being very easy to join destructive gang, and sometimes you will be the victim. Yes, sir. I saw a video recently, very pathetic story, of a boy that was, everybody knew him in the area as a very homely child, somebody that respects elders and all that. Went to school, got seriously hooked on drugs, came back, and the mother was talking to him about it. He stabbed the mother in numerous places. She was in the pool of her own blood when the neighborhood came around. And they were shot. They were because it was under the substance as at the time they came. He was holding the knife like this. People were in distance, taking video and begging him, say, but you drop the knife first now. They'll drop her first, we go. They were promising him things. A grown boy, someone that would be around his 2021, wasted his mother on substance. If that mom was, if they told her before that this is how your end will come, she may not have believed. Like, oh, no, not my kid too quiet for that better. There is no excuse in adding drug conversation to your parenting. You have to, because the consequences are too bad. It's too serious. You may not be able to pay the price. So, indulging negative behavior is part of how you garnish your children and make them ready to enter that kind of lifestyle. Let them know what is permitted and what is forbidden. Let them know that. You see the way you're talking, never try that again. Don't talk like that to another person. Even though it's their mates, My children, I caution them, it's not just elder people that you respect. You respect your mate because that person is another human being. So you talk to people with respect. Okay? So the next one is this one. Most of us are very guilty of this one. Using drug-related remarks as normal talk. Using drug-related remarks as normal talk. Come you dey high self, this pikin. Come you dey on colos self, this pikin.
Yes, sir.
Me, I'm not excusing myself from anything I'm talking to you about. All of us are finding out and we are making adjustment, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you not answering me guys? Am I alone here? So all of us are finding out and we're making corrections. Those things, when you make remarks like that, you don't know, the child's heart is a open slate that many things have not been written on. And you, the parent, has an opportunity because of proximity. You are the one that gave birth to the child. You have an opportunity to be writing in that child's heart. And now you are using colos, hi, and let me tell you, I will get to one thing that is very funny. You're using all those kind of language now on the child, and now she, because it's coming from mom, it seems approved. You may not be aware of how he or she is interpreting it. You dey high self. I'm saying high not bad. Maybe high not too bad. You are not aware. You don't know. So you cannot even assume that no, you understand what I mean. You will be shocked. So delete those remarks from your vocabulary. Don't they use that kind of language. These people they high self. These people they smoke self. These people they behave like this person when they take drugs. Maybe they behave like person when they take on colos. Because it's the prevailing slangs in our time. On colo, song even there about them. Songs even there about it. But see, an intentional parent will know that this is a no-no. This is not something I should be using. It's not something I should play around for the safety and sanity of my own children. Because if you vehemently show how much you disapprove this, their soul will receive that caution. Anyway, yeah, what kind of nonsense? These are the things I don't like. How can you be playing with that kind of language? They see your force, your fire against it. In music, in language, in movies, they see your force against it. They know that, no, it's not for us, it's not our time, this is not us. Then your conversation is easier because they already see your stand on it. Not the one that say, they're on call, then you want to have a conversation. See, this is, you are going to bite your lips several times because you have shown a part of you that seems to agree with it. So you want to quickly get those kind of things out of your vocabulary. It's not correct. It's part of why you get your children easily lured to those kind of things. The fifth one is making the home a hell for the child. Making the home a hell for your child. You understand what I mean by that? The home is supposed to be a place to rest your head. The home is supposed to be a place of safety. The home is supposed to be a place of easy conversation. I should be able to come back home and say, there was something I saw today. And you'll be able to sit with me and have conversation and even provide answers for me. But by the time we make the home a hell, when they begin to break up and say, I bind you, Holy Ghost fire, any other thing is coming from, then you begin to show some kind of emotions that you begin to like, show. It's in the help for you just now. This is supposed to be a question. They don't turn out to deliverance session. Begin to feel like what's going on. You know why you want to make the home a safe place for them? Because the bunkers, where they take those drugs, if you know how homely it is, if you know how much they are loved there, you will know that you have competition. You will know that you have competition. If you know how much they are so accepted. If you know how much they are ready to hide them when maybe they have a child has now finally got hooked on it and is coming there, then maybe they see the parents of that child coming, they will hide the child. Hide and say, your man, they go hide the pikin where. That's how they are fraternal with each other in that place. There is a lot of, because all of them are the same, there is a lot of love, peace, and joy together with themselves there. So when you make your home hell, they will find solace in that kind of place. Quick. And then before you know it, your children have found, the person's child has found a new family. We used to be able to talk. At all, they turn it to prayer session. Do you understand? So you want to check that. Make your home a safe place for your children. Now let's get to our role. Parents' role in safeguarding our kids from all of this. Tell them the truth about drugs. Tell them the truth. Tell them that it's a substance that people use, both old and young. People use them to feel a certain level of confidence that they don't have naturally. Right? It gives people false self-esteem. So when you're talking to the child, add this thing to it, because truly it does. That's the reason why musicians take drugs. Because they want to feel a certain way that they may not be able to feel naturally. So I watched this popular actor that got married recently. He was so excited during his wedding. The way he was so happy. I was not feeling like, this girl, you should celebrate with. This guy seems to be very excited to have found you. And in my own innocent mind, viewing this wedding, I just felt like the guy was really, really excited. And I feel like the excitement was coming from the fact that he was getting married to this lady. Only for other video to surface that it was on the morning of the event, he loaded himself on substance. And so that was not his original self. Because maybe we could not find the confidence of being married. There was the agitation, there was the everything. And so he loaded himself with substance. That's the celebration, that's the display we're not seeing. So really, it gives that kind of false self-esteem, that kind of false confidence. It really does. So when you're having a conversation with your children, you want to let them know that this thing, people think that it does that. So you tell them the truth about it. People take substance to feel different from whom they really are. So but why do people want to do that? Why do people want to feel different? Because of the lack of self-confidence, because of the lack of self-esteem. And which turns round back again, because nobody was born with esteem or no self-esteem. Do you understand? Everybody was born as a plain slate. If people had self-esteem, somebody pumped it up. If people had no self-esteem, somebody talked it down. Are you getting my point now? So it now turns round again back to your parenting role. How do you help your child gain confidence? Because when a child is confident, it will not fall for the lie of this thing will boost your confidence. But I mean, he already has confidence. Do you understand? And in this part of Africa, we talk our children down a lot in the name of disrespect. The average child, normal average child, cannot approach an adult without the adult seeing it as disrespect. A child sees this person and say, Mrs. Peace, and is offended. Don't be your name with that. You say, for coming auntie, why for coming mommy? We kill their self-esteem, we kill our children's self-esteem just by that narrative. A child that is built and talks to the other person, talks to an adult and say, please ma'am, and is looking at them in the eye and say, please ma'am, I want to, and they are talking back, we talk and they talk back. Now they fear all the children of nowadays. You carry juju for face, you make masquerade. What people make her fear? Do you understand? So you children's confidence by themselves, so they don't have need of that lie that this thing gives them that kind of substance with them. Then you want to show them the journey. So yes, it is true that it gives people confidence, it gives people some kind of self-esteem that doesn't last. And what it takes in return is worse. Now let me tell you this story. There is this guy who was born in a Christian home. It's a winner's family. Mother, father, leaders in church, serving in one department or the other. The boy was raised in a Christian home. Finished his primary, secondary school, straight ahead to Covenant University. You know who has Covenant University? A Christian university. Went to school and then did very well, came out and he studied law. He was going to go to the UK to study his master's. And then he gained admission to one of the very serious universities in the UK and got to school. His mother, at the first time, went with him, set his apartment, of course, and everything for him, and he was in school. The two other roommates that the mother set him to stay with, unknowingly to both the boy and the mother, these guys used drugs. Now the mother was back in Nigeria, he was left alone there. And for the first time in his life, he saw the use of substance. So no exposure, no conversation, till he's now studying masters in the UK. He's supposed to be a good boy. At this time, he was already 21, 22. So for the first time in his life, he was seeing this thing. So they'll be talking to him, come and use drugs, telling him all those lies I talked to you about. It will make you this, it will make you that, come and be using drugs. At first, he didn't know what to answer them. He feel like, whatever are the people saying? Because this does not meet anything here. He had never heard anything about it. That exposure is not showing up, it's not meeting anything on this side. So they tell him, see, it will make you be doing. The next thing they now use for him, the tactics of challenge. You know, I said something, if you're in the group, I said something about them. They dared into it. This African boy, these are white European roommates. The African boy is scared of using drugs. And they begin to talk to him about it, like, what nonsense. And so he ventured. And it's only one taste. That's what you need. That thing. What was doing here? This person I'm telling you about, 7 years of his life was stolen by drugs. 7 years. So he got so hooked on it, but school was still going on. But then the addiction was growing. He finished from school, came to Nigeria. At this time, the parents were not aware. Because of course, your conscience will know that this is not something to be proud of. So you don't even want to tell another person who is not in it with you. How did it start? The exposure was a shocker. No previous conversation. Nobody has said anything about this thing before. And so he got into it. Because you don't know where your children will go. You don't know who they will meet. You don't know where life will take anybody. So feeling like they don't need this conversation, you are only doing them a disservice. And so that's how he came back to Nigeria. He set up and everything. He started, the parents, of course, seeing that he has come back from school, they set him up, got him an apartment, and all that. Then he was working, of course, in one of the firms. He was working, he was in town and working. But then, the device, they already plug it inside. So, once the cravings will come, this one I'm telling you so, he sold everything. He became so miserable, he had to stop working. He sold everything in his house, he sold his apartment, his shares, he sold his everything, he sold his car. At this time, because of course, they live in a different city with his parents. So they were not even aware of what is going on in his life. This was a boy that grew up in a Christian home. So this one I'm telling you that, prayer is not enough. Do you understand? Just praying alone is not, that's not what it is. There is the conversation you should have. with the child that will give them the knowledge on how to stand in all of this. And so this continued, he sold everything. And according to his story, the only thing was remaining in his house was his chandelier that he has. All the drug people, dealers, already know that now he's broke. Because of course, when you are broke, they begin to give you space because they know that your run is finished. Even though the craving will still be there, that is when the other habits will now begin to fall into place. Because you have to succeed. Because it's like, I've never been there, but from stories and research, you will know that it comes like demon possession. I must take it now. If you don't take it, as though you want to die. So, he has sold everything he has, trying to get drugs. Now, the only thing remaining was this chandelier, according to him. So he called one of the dealers and said, please come, I need this stuff, I need this stuff. He said, oh, you don't have any money again, the house is empty, everything they bought, whoa, the house is echoing now, nothing is left. And then, the chandelier was very beautiful, of course, and expensive. According to him, the mom was the one that gave it to him as a graduation gift. Wasn't very expensive. They were a rich family. And so he sold that chandelier for 50,000 naira to this dealer in exchange of drugs worth 50K. He took it, of course, to finish again. Guess what he did next? He went to the lawyer, because the landlord, because they paid for his apartment for 2 years. And so he went to meet the landlord and said he wants to go back to the UK. He's not sure he will continue staying. They should give him back the remaining rent. Because if this thing turned your person said, that's what I'm saying. You, after telling the child they're having a conversation with what it does, you now give them a journey of how it destroys. This is a life they want for themselves. So this particular guy went to meet this landlord and alluding to the parents, of course, they thought, oh, my son is a lawyer, he stays in this place. He's supposed to be a big boy now. He's finished from the UK. Right? Should give him some space now. So he did that. And then the landlord said that, well, I can't give you this year's old again. So I already staying. I can give you next year's old. 750K. He gave him. The other day was supposed to meet at the bank. He collected the money from him and called this dealer and said, of course, he has money now. I need some of the stuff. And the guy was like, no, we don't have any money again. Please, I'm not coming. You just keep wasting my time. There's nothing to sell again, so I'm not coming. So while he was there making the call, another person overheard him and said, this is what they make, so now level you define. Say, come on, go show you where you get level for free. Forget about the dealer. And he took him to the bank in that city. He has 750,000 cash, following a stranger he has never met in his life. Addiction is not the place you want that child to get to. You'll become senseless, you'll become miserable. Followed him with 750K at time. And then they go to this bank. When you enter the place, according to the story, everybody's there, everything, children, adults, everybody's there. And guess what? The people selling the drugs are always decent. Because they know what it does to a human being, so they don't take it. That brings me to our neighborhood. If you have somebody in your area that sells drugs to children, it's high time you try to invite them to neighborhood parenting, even if you don't have the courage to talk to them. Because they are doing something, so sometimes they are not aware of what they are doing. They just think of the money. But they are diverting children's future. Seriously. So this guy got into this place, and before 4 or 5 days, 750K was finished. And by this time, he has no house. He can't go back home, can't go back to his own house. Everything was finished. Of course, now he has to stay here. And then according to his story, he said when he came, there was a girl that saw him and told him that, welcome to your new home. So he now said, no. I'm just going to do a few days and I'll be out of here. He said the girl laughed at him. He said when the money was finished, he was ready to sleep that night. They gave him a carton. The pop went up on his sleep. They gave him a lodge, superior. Go lodge. And went there. This went on for 7 years. His parents found out at the 4th year. Because now, they didn't know where he was, but they were taking calls. They were still answering calls and all that. So they didn't know where he was at this time. So, one day, at that 4th year, he went to his pastor and told his pastor that this is what is going on, this is what is happening in his life, and please, he needs a change, he needs help. And the pastor has not learned, the pastor is not aware, according to Buhari, he's not aware that you don't give money to a drug addict, even though he's on the process of reformation. Pastor now gave him some money, so he had go and help himself clean up and next stop on Sunday. He went back to the bank. And it was for another 2 years before his family now found out. He came home that night, and the parents could not believe what they saw. What is happening? What is this? What is this? And he was there, they were crying. What happened? He now told them what was happening to him, what he has been doing. I has sold everything, how his life is miserable. Oh, the mother wept, saw. Is this my boy? Is this my son? Is this what you have become? This person that we did it. Said the mother even fainted. And so they got back and everything. And the mother is, of course, they are rich people, left a laptop in the sitting room and went upstairs. Said, okay, well, let us fall asleep and make progress for tomorrow. He carried that laptop that night back to the home. He's still not waiting the whole person. With relevant information, because the mother works, relevant information of things that the mother is engaged in, sold the laptop for payment, of course, to the dealers and got some drugs again. To cut the long story short, that was how it was. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until God delivered him. Today he's a pastor. But that thing got a hold of his life for 7 years. There are people that never came out. According to the story, there was another person who got into the bomb with him almost the same week that was killed. Junior, according to the story, only child of the parents, was shot dead because money was finished to buy drugs. And he still wanted more because the addiction and the craving is there. And what did he do? Well, he went robbing. Because these things, like I said in my post, they have siblings. Drug addiction has brothers and sisters. They have stealing. They have fraudulent acts. They have different things, robbery that comes with it. So this boy went to rob, and of course he was shot on the spot. And he died. So as for that one now, he didn't make it enough to get reformed and become saved and become something. This guy, Mercy, helped him and he's a pastor today. So this is a dangerous thing. It is dangerous. It can divert a person's destiny. Whatever it is that God has planned out for a man, the man will have to also join, will contribute himself before the purpose will come true. Right? Because God does not fight people to do what he wants them to do. So while you are praying for your children, you are talking to them about it. You are letting them know that, hey, you see that thing that person is doing there. This is what it has. This is the capacity of this thing. This is what it can become. You can turn a person to this. And when you have the conversation with your children, you don't have the conversation like somebody who is scared, who is afraid, because like we always say that as long as you are praying for your children, as long as you know that this is your seed that came out of you, their future is bright. We are just living in a fallen world, so we must also take that into cognizance to know that the earth, the place where they live so, is a bad place. The earth is a fallen world. So because of that, so many things are going on that is wrong. So you want to be able to have conversations with your children about the things that are going on. Not because they will have bad future. So you don't have conversation with fear to say, hey, you don't hear all this thing when they happen, so, this, so, and put me down, oh, I'm not getting money, oh, I'm not fit to, oh. No. Not the agitate like that, they get it. You have the conversation like somebody who is putting tools in a person's hand. When you give tools to a person, it's for use. So you have the conversation like somebody who will know that this person will use it. When you see this, know that this is what it is for. When you see people doing this, know that this is what it's capable for. It is a lie. It does not make anybody have retentive memory. They are just looking for a way to make you have the same future with them. And you know your future is bright. You know that you are a child of God. God has great plans for you. You cannot afford to spoil it by just following somebody to do this kind of thing. So your conversation time with them is not for fear. It's for putting tools in a child's hand. Alright? So the other things that it brings, okay, so after the journey, it brings lying, it brings cheating, it brings blackmail that can lead to suicide. There's a video I was supposed to play. We were not able to get to do that today. It brings to blackmail that can lead to suicide. A mother that walked into his child's room and found him hanging on the fan with his tongue out of course, don't choke the place of him. Dead. Not the parents were not aware, they don't know what led to it until they began to find his phones and begin to see conversation with people. Someone was blackmailing him. And he couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't talk to the parents. And he ended it. Do you understand? So there's a lot happening that as parents, you don't want to be on the other side of your children's mind. You want to be someone that they can put head on their chest. You want to be that person. Children go through a lot. Do you understand? Okay, so the next thing, if it brings diverted future, it brings unhealthy community. They begin to now roll with those bunkers. And you see those people, they're not people that you want to identify with. Junkies. They are people's children, of course. Somebody could have talked to them, they could have been somebody different today. But no, see what they became. Do you understand? And now, if a child comes to that kind of community, they begin to be that kind of way as well. Do you understand? So it brings unhealthy kind of relationship. How can a person now marry from that kind of a place? They will also raise children like that. Like there was one part of the story I skipped. The guy told us of a person, a girl, who got pregnant in the bomb there. And 16 years plus. And she was doing the drugs there. And gave birth to the child there. They got local midwife to do the delivery for her. Very pretty boy, according to him. And the day came when he was so in need of drugs and sold her baby. So they did that. She preferred to satisfy that craving than to have the baby. It's crazy. How did this boy get here? An exposure met no foundation. Nothing was in him. He has never had the conversation with parents, nor pastors, because everybody shy away from it. And the children eventually face it. People eventually get to face it. Like they face it with no anything inside of them, they begin to meditate. I told you, exposure will go to meditation. Then from meditation, they will meet the lies. It will help you do this, it will make you this, it will do that for you. You have retentive memory, you will be carrying first in class. You meet the lies, and then meet the pressure. This person uses it, this one uses it, that one uses it. From there, it goes to consideration. Maybe we should even, what if we can even, and it's only one attempt it takes. Only one attempt. And you want to also know the names of these things because many people, they get into, the children are already using it and they have code names for these things. And many parents are not aware that that's what they're talking about. Yes. Like me, for instance, I thought marijuana was the name of a perfume. I thought marijuana was a perfume name. I didn't know that it was a hard drugs. Right? It was, when I found out, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's fine name. So you want to know the name of these things as well. To know how, in case anything is happening, nothing will be coded around you. Because you are informed. You are one. You are informed. Okay? And then you want to make your home a safe place. Where there is easy conversation. Conversations are easy to have. children can quickly come and say, see, mommy, see what I see today. Somebody just report that for the nose. Welcome, sit down. That's it there, conversation will start. Not be, hey, Father, anoint my children's eye from any negativity. You are joking. They are living in this world. Nobody will blind their eye from anything. They will see it. When they see it, they will have the intent, the information to stand against it. Because that's why we're learning, right? That's why we're setting up neighborhood parenting for other things, for several things that we have to do in the city as we raise our children. Alright? And then the last one is engage them in spiritual and social activities. Research shows that you can distract a child with a worldly distractions. There are many people that grew up, personally, I grew up in not knowing what was going on in my days. The things that were taking away teenagers, things that were distracting teenagers, I was not aware of them, many of them. Why? Because I was so hooked up in church. There were so many activities that were lined up for us in church. I was in a dance group. It's in a dance group that I met my husband that we're married today doing this. He was even my dance instructor. So there were so many things that we got engaged in that blinded us from what was going on in the world. So you can get your children engaged to distract them from what is going on. Not to excuse or escape them. I'm not saying they will escape it. No, to distract them. So even though you are giving them this conversation, you're talking to them about what is going on in the world and how to safeguard themselves from it, you are distracting them from the world such that they have the information to stand, but they are distracted, not even having enough time to get engaged with all those kind of lifestyle. Do you understand? So if you have activities in your church, departments in your church for children, for teenagers, get them involved in it. Let them be involved in it. They are having memory verse, they are memorizing scriptures. Let them take part in competition, quiz competition, studying the Bible competition. Those things helped me. Because the word of God is a weapon against vices. If the children see it as a game, they are memorizing scripture, they are doing all these things, it is taking form in their hearts. And it can stand as a defense against those kind of vices. Do you understand? So get them engaged in social things, get them engaged in spiritual activities. It's a worthy distraction from such vices. I have come to the end of my class. Time is not always enough, but we have August neighborhood parenting.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dallin. Please can we appreciate a round of applause? Thank you so much, Ms. Ma. Please stay on stage. Please stay on stage. Welcome. So, thanks so much. I liked a lot, and this session, me, I have questions. You have questions. You have written. So I'm going to take another 30 minutes to ask those questions. We're not in church where we just come, or a seminar where we just come and receive and go, and the questions are still on in our hearts. Here, we are open to talk about whatever is going in your heart, and you will receive answers, and everything will be resolved. So be free. So I will start by asking my first question. Earlier when she was speaking at the beginning, she talked about, she started it with a story about some dubious adults that try to engage your children with moral advices, meanwhile they have ulterior motives. So while teaching that, while telling us the story, she now said you advise when you should teach your children to counter or respond to those kind of advices with something like, my mom already tells me that I know it, or my dad already tells me that I know it. Now, when she said that, I got the positive note, but also there's an extreme to that. Because in our last parenting forum, or most of the parenting forums we've had, we are advised that the society or the community should help train the child. So now, how do we now place the balance between our children not taking advice from strangers and the community, we now, the adults, giving advice to the children? Thank you very much. After that, you can ask your questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, so If a person who is giving a genuine advice with no ulterior motive tells a child that, and the child says, oh, my mom is already telling me this. If whatever it is that the person is advising this child about is something that maybe he is saying an incoming consequence of this child behavior, if this person has no ulterior motive, he will go to the parents. Do you understand? That's adults. If he's not dubious, he will go to the parents and say, see what I'm noticing about this girl. I don't know if it's only me, but see, I think let's, because all of us like the day the way we are together. Let's look at how you see her. Do you understand? Like this particular lady that this thing was happening to, I was not in the picture. She was the one that invited me to it. To say, she not even knowing that I do this as a parenting coach. She said, all of us are parents together. I'll see what my baby said this person they tell her. Do you understand? So if the person has no ulterior motive, if he has met such blockage from the child, he will go to the parents. He will not force it down the child's throat because he knows that this thing I want to do, I don't have any backyard intention about it. So that can keep us still in the game of advising the children, because the parents, you can go to the parents and say, see what I'm thinking, see what I'm suspecting, what do you think? That's what it is. So any other question? Does that answer it? So?
Yes.
Please, I came here to bet. It's good I met this topic we are treating now. I'm sorry for not standing on this subject. Something happened along the line, touching that my daughter that came with me. I just stayed in Warri here before. I was living in Ugeli, besides Owo. My daughter pointed out people that are selling these things. I never knew they were hanging the bag beside the flat my husband was paying. There's a chemist behind us. So that nurse is a friend to the owner of the compound. She hangs the drugs back after our flat. I never knew these children, these two, they now knew that the nurse do come to our passage to come and collect the bag whenever they want, the boys, they need it. So there was a time people are coming, these drugs, people are coming to